Daniel, est-ce que vous êtes là?
Oui, I'm impressed.
Ah, merci. Je lire le français langue ce matin et comme c'est quoi 11 heures, j'ai parfaitement bilingue,
Ah bon? Okay.
complètement bilingue.
I am not. J'essaie. I'm trying to speak English. I've been here 30 years. I still
What?
have a thick French accent.
30 years. If I lived in France for 30 years, you would not know I was English. I would say.
Depends. I arrived here like I was 25, so I think my French accent was like printed in my brain. It was too
Brain.
late.
You need to fix it. Brain. Brain.
Oh, I needed some accent coach. Come
Yes.
to you.
Let's switch. You can
How are
teach
you?
me. What's brain in French? Cerveau.
Le cerveau. And it's a mask. No, let's not say that. Yeah,
What?
le cerveau.
You're going to
Yeah.
say it's masculine?
Yeah.
What, you
It's
can't
a
even
bit of-
talk about the gender of nouns now in France? Is that how politically correct it's become?
Gender everywhere.
Yes.
Gender
Danielle,
everywhere.
we're watching it. We're going to watch your movie. I don't know how we'll play it when we're,
Let's see that.
but it's a fascinating movie. It's like a documentary, like an episode of National Geographic.
Yeah, yeah. With some film too, some drama too.
Yeah, sort of like Dinesh D'Souza's movie, Hillary's America.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching it, and the general understanding, the general consensus here in America is revolutions are awesome, revolutions kick butt, and ours is cool, so everyone else's is.
Yeah. But we don't think about Bolshevik Revolution or Mao Zedong Chinese Revolution. They also wore the name of revolution.
Yeah, well, we even think those are cool. Billy Bragg's album, The Great Leap Forward, has a big picture of Chinese propaganda on the front, and it's a hit record that kids would buy.
It's not because something has the same word or the same name that it is the same thing.
Right.
Uh,
Well, we started to learn. Sorry to interrupt. We started to learn that recently with the Arab Spring, where we had Laura, what's her name, Logan. She goes in there with her Farrah Fawcett blonde hair, and she goes, "Hi, we're at a revolution here. It's really cool, and Arabs are getting the monarchy down just
Wait.
like we did." And then, boom, she disappears into the crowd and is gang raped.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
We
that-
get all fooled. I got fooled myself too, also like strong men. All strong men are supposed to be bad, but then you realize there is worse than strong men, such as Saddam Hussein. There is even worse. There
Right.
is an Islamist tyranny or a French Revolution. Yeah, it's not good to go to the world or to history with just one model, such as the American Republic or democracy, thinking that in all time, all place, for all people, the same model works.
Right.
Even for us Westerners, the same model did not work all the time. It took us like 4,000 years almost, between the Hebrew, the Romans, the Greeks, the Western Europeans, America. We moved and we changed, morphed from one system to the other.
Now, where are you on the political spectrum? I've never met a French person that was right wing in my life.
I'm one of the last of the Mohicans over there.
No, I did actually meet one right-wing guy. He had their group there was Génération Identitaire,
Pressure. We were crushed by the pressure, like what make a diamond.
right?
It's dirt or minerals or charcoal, whatever becomes a diamond. So we are more resistant now.
So are you conservative, or would you be for Le Pen?
Yeah, I would be more traditional conservative with a Christian social ethics and ethic of politics also. I would be flexible with the different regimes that are offered by history and according to the space times people. I would not be rigid into one form only of government, but yes, I would be more conservative, traditional, and so on.
I was watching.
Marine has evolved, by the way. She's becoming more liberal.
Who?
Marine Le Pen herself.
Oh, well, she better be if she wants to win, because you guys have that
Yeah.
stupid system over there where they can redo the election and the two loser parties can join together and crush whoever almost beat them.
Yeah, she's bored almost, even though she may have had the biggest monolithic part of the electorate of the electors. She's still pushed out of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a terrible system there. Now, I was sort of going back over revolutions watching your movie, and I was thinking of Iran, for one, where the communist revolutionaries get out there and they say, hey, clerics, hey, religious people, can you just save my seat here in the government while I'm out doing this revolution and getting this monarch out of the way? And then I'll come in and we'll figure it out later. But by the time they turned around, these giant bearded men had turned the entire country into a mosque. And now these same revolutionaries are getting beaten with canes if they're not covering their heads or they're going out past curfew or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, the phenomenon that Solzhenitsyn, in Russia had spoken about the wheel. He wrote, I don't know how many volumes, 9 volumes about the wheel, is that one ultra-liberal revolutionary becomes even more ultra-liberal and is going to top the one before him, and gets worse and worse and worse until they call in a strong man. Like in France, it was Napoleon. All the revolutionaries were exhausted at killing each other after they had killed so many people in France. 30,000 clergy members, priests and nuns, are thought to have been killed during the French Revolution.
Wow.
Mass killing, mass drowning. They had developed an industry of drowning, for example, into large barges over the river Loire, where the castles are. And you have a lot of people who came to America at that time too, actually, from France, fleeing the French Revolution.
Oh, wow. So, and wasn't there a lot of revolutionaries from America that had liberated America from the English, and they thought, let's go do this in France now. It was fun.
Yeah, there was a confusion there. Revolution is not the same everywhere. Here, actually, it's almost the same. The patriots of America rebelled against the centralized power of London, right? And in France, yes, there was the monarchy that was centralized, but the French Revolution, which is kind of an early socialism, was even more centralized, even more and more brutal. And so the farmers of some regions of France rebelled against that hyper-centralized system that was also atheistic and militantly atheistic. They were decided in imposing a new religion which was adoring, and they made statues out of that, which was adoring the human reason. And
it is interesting that these communists always insist on shutting down the church. From China to Russia to Cuba, they always, and then around the same time, just as you say, they put up big statues of their leaders. They're really trying to brainwash people. They want their brains.
Yeah, there is I love this quote by Chesterton, where he says, when the people do not believe in something beyond the world, that would be God, they will worship the world, but overall they will worship the government. The government becomes the God. But I don't say that only Christians can oppose socialism. I also believe that people that may be agnostic but believe in the natural law, that is in between people, can also not adore the government. So
yeah. If you're a true atheist, then why are you worshiping God, the government? It's like we're talking this video, this whole show, where these celebrities are telling Congress to protect them. And I go, I don't want the government to protect me. I don't want it to know I exist. I don't imbue any authority on these bureaucrats. So don't create jobs for me. Don't protect me. Don't make a garden in my front yard. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it is so super oppressive. But all of these people who are youngish, they have not, it's like, there is a return of an extremism. They have not known the Soviet Union. They have not the existence of the Soviet Union. So the dream is on again. They dream again about that heavenly paradise. And what is hurting them is that heavenly paradise requires violence and force to be imposed, because it's a paradise that is ruled by the government, strongly ruled. It's in their DNA of their ideology. They will repeat that over and over again.
And maybe we would all be like that. They say power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Fidel and Che, they went to liberate Cuba, and then the next day, Fidel says, no, we're not doing elections. I changed my mind about that. I'm going to be in power for 50 years. And
Yes.
then Che just starts shooting gays and shooting anyone who opposes them. They're shooting their closest friends because these
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
know
yeah.
too much, just assassinating them at gunpoint. And yet these youngsters will still wear a Che shirt.
Yeah. They can't help. It is in that system. It has to be philosophically changed in the mind. And people have been, we have to take it seriously that philosophies can hurt greatly countries and people and ideologies. Um, so we have maybe to think more and to address those ideology as thinkers and philosophers and re-educate ourselves. You know, for example, they believe that man is perfect when left alone. Like that's the good savage of Rousseau, or the philosopher Rousseau.
Right?
And then they say, oh, but wait, to keep that good savage pure and good, he has to be forced to be kept savage, pure and good. Hence the desire of that government. And the government has also to flush away competition, which comes from religion or tradition or ethic. So, and they keep doing that again and again and again.
It's disturbing. Now let's go back a step here. What was the French peasants' beef with the French monarchy? Because our beef with Britain for the American Revolution was they were charging us too much money in tax.
There were several things that were to be changed and that they welcomed, actually. Most of the farmers at first welcomed the French Revolution. For example, you had their local leaders who should have been local, the aristocrats, who had been lured in Versailles by the king. So instead of doing their job as local administrator or defenders, they had become almost perverted, decadent in the luxuries of the capital. So there was not really anybody in charge in the provinces. So there was that big problem. You had, of course, France had been impoverished quite a lot by helping the American patriots in its war against England in America.
Oh, great! It's my fault.
So there was a depletion. There was that. I think that climate speaking, there had been bad crops and harvest for the last 3 years.
Ah.
So there was also less food in France at that time, and probably, like in any place, there was resistance from the ruling class against changes. So that always frustrates the people.
Well, you're forgetting that we're talking about frogs here, and they love fashion, and they just saw how cool the American Revolution was. Maybe they just liked the fashion of it.
Absolutely. There is always a fashionable element. Look at the Hollywood crowd. Most of the Hollywood crowd goes by political fashion.
Right.
Like the gender ideology. 5 years ago, it was something else. In 5 years from now, it's going to be another fashion of the mind.
Right. Now it's the environment. We've got Leonardo DiCaprio bitching about melting polar ice caps. That's the hot thing this year.
Yeah. And each time there is a villain somewhere, and it's not them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the guy taking the private jet to go interview President Obama. Hey, we're losing some of our younger people here. We're running out of time. Can you just give us some porn? Give us some gore. 30,000 priests drowned in a giant drowning machine. What other kind of horrors went on? In your movie, you focus on one town. What was it called? Vendée or something?
Yeah, one region named Vendée. We think there was a genocide, a French genocide. 150,000 civilians, not farmers in arms, were eradicated. So, like the Nazis, they experimented gases. Like many during the World War I, the gases came back in their face, so it did not work. So eventually, the best was the guillotine or the drowning. The drowning was the cheapest for them. So they said, hey, let's use those old boats on the river. We can put 50 farmers in there, and we'll drown we'll like close the boats, and then we'll drown the boat with the farmers in there.
So this is the monarchy fighting back against the revolution.
No, that was the French revolutionaries, the French liberal revolutionaries.
So why did they hate these farmers? They weren't revolutionary enough?
No, they were not anymore. When those farmers saw that where the French Revolution was leading them, Their faith was not allowed anymore. Their taxes were rising, and they were also sent to wars against Europe. Many farmers and simple people of France rebelled, and that's what is hidden.
That's what I like about your movie, because the French Revolution starts off saying, we are going to fight for liberty, liberté, égalité, fraternité. And they go, yeah. And then about halfway through, they go, wait a minute, who's providing this liberty? And they go, oh, the government will be bequeathing liberty in portions it deems fit. And then they go, whoa, 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 whoa. That's worse than the monarchy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
a little bit like the Islamist republic now is worse than Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
So we have to just use reason and find compromises in the solutions and political solutions in history. That's one lesson of the French Revolution.
Well, that's why we always say corporations are the lesser of two evils when it comes to the government and big business. And our job here is not to replace the government, but to dismantle it. We want the maximum freedom on this show, and that is we want to destroy the government. I want to take it down. Department of Energy doesn't need to be there. Department of Education doesn't need to be there. Let the free market handle it. Let God handle it.
Yeah, and there is a magical word that is called, it's a bit complicated, but why don't we get more educated? That is called subsidiarity, meaning that if a lower level in society can do the job, let that lower level do it. If the families can educate their children, well, let them educate they should be free to educate their children, which is forbidden in Germany right now. And if the family says, I would like some help from the city, okay, but it has to come from the families to ask for some help. And then when they don't want the help of the city or the government, they should be free to say, good enough now, I don't need your help, I can do it on my own.
Yeah, states' rights.
So,
well, you sound like Alexis de Tocqueville when he wrote Democracy in America, and he said, democracy is slow and sluggish and inefficient, but when it starts going, there is nothing that can stop it.
Yeah, until it run down the nation to the ground, and then you have to rebuild again, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, we're getting there now. We're rebuilding with Trump. I hope you get a Le Pen or someone, a Génération Identitaire or something, because it's looking bad for France.
Yeah, it took around 300 or 400 years to defeat civilization in Europe, to put it apart. And it could take as long to rebuild it. It takes time, and I think it starts in culture, with books, with novels, with maybe film like this one, even with music. The arts and the culture has to start again. Or like you with your show, you get people to think and to talk and you venture where not many people venture yet. You go against a lot of taboos right now.
Well, I had Daniel Rabourdin on my show. That was brave. Weird silence.
It's over. I'm still here.
Oh. Okay, we got to go. We're out of time. We're going to show a little bit of your movie after this, and I'd love to have you back. You'd like you more than their friend. Thank you for elucidating us on the complex nature of revolution.
Bye-bye.
Salut, à tantôt.